Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our virtual community prayer service today. Our community prayer service is held each Wednesday during the fall and spring semesters at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, either remotely on Zoom or in person with a live stream feed. It's approximately 30 minutes long and is often followed by Holy Grounds, a virtual meeting time for informal conversations on the theme of the prayer for the week. Once a month, we also offer a community meal, after the in-person community prayer. An effort will be made to provide kosher, halal, and vegan options, and everyone is welcome. Our community prayer offers the university the opportunity to gather together for spiritual support. The format and focus of the service will change, taking the shape of the particular tradition of the community prayer leader for the week. Attendees who do not identify with the celebrated tradition of the week are encouraged to attend as participatory observers, as their comfort level allows. Participants from any or no religion tradition are all welcome. Please join the community for a time of learning, reflecting, and praying during our community prayers every Wednesday. Today, we're joined by Chaplain Jamal Bey. Chaplain Jamal Bey received his commission as a chaplain candidate through the Direct Commission in 2017. He is a graduate of Chaplain Officer Basic Course. Most recently, Chaplain Bey has graduated from the Chaplain Captain Career Course in June of 2024. Chaplain Bey is currently serving as the battalion chaplain for the 2-10 Infantry Regiment at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Prior to his arrival at Fort Leonard Wood, Chaplain Bey entered active duty at Fort Cavazos, Texas in 2021. He served as the battalion chaplain for the 720th Military Police Battalion. He also served as the chaplain candidate with the 75th Innovation Command in Houston, Texas. Prior chaplain candidate assignments included the 1-115th Aviation Battalion, Conroe, Texas, and the 451st Civil Affairs Battalion in Houston, Texas. Chaplain Bey served as the CBRN specialist with the 340th Chemical Company from 2011 through 2017. Chaplain Bey deployed to Kuwait and Iraq in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. He was activated in support of Operation Allies Welcome in 2021. He served as the SME for the religious concerns for the over 13,000 Afghan guests hosted at Fort McCoy, Wisconsin. Chaplain Bey served as a strategic asset for the 3rd Corps and was regularly called on to provide guidance to command teams and chaplains on Islamic issues. The U.S. Army Chaplain Corps published a weekly message prepared by Chaplain Bey across their social media platforms since 2021. Chaplain Bey served on a working group led by the Office of the Chief of Chaplains Strategic Communications Team. Chaplain Bey holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in Communications from Texas Southern University, a Master's of Business Administration specializing in finance from Texas Southern University's Jesse Jones School of Business, and a Master's in Religious Studies from Hartford Seminary. Chaplain Bey is a doctoral candidate currently completing a Doctor of Business Administration. His military awards and decorations include the Meritorious Service Medal, Army Achievement Medal, Meritorious Unit Commendation, Armed Forces Service Medal, Humanitarian Service Medal, Army Commendation Medal, National Defense Service Medal, Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, Army Service Ribbon, and the Army Reserve Component Overseas Training Ribbon. Today, he will be sharing some insightful reflections with us on Veterans Day. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Chaplain Jamal Bey.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Alaikum salam.
Wa alaikum salam.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. So I want to thank Sister Fatima for reaching out to me. We go way back. Her dad is actually my teacher and my imam as well. So I've known her since she was her whole family, all her siblings since they were young. So it's good to see her pursuing these academic pursuits. But it's great to be here with you all. And so, in keeping with the theme, initially it said like music or something, and I just like, well, how could I get the Muslims all worked up if I started playing some music? But I decided against that just for the sake of time and everyone's you know feelings or whatever. And so what I want to do is it will tie into the theme of what I'll discuss. But I'll recite Surah Duha, the 93rd Surah of the Quran, and then give some commentary on it that is geared toward not just the role of the chaplain, but also then looking internally at how we care for ourselves. So, inshallah, I'll go ahead and do that. والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يؤتيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك عائلا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فما يتيما فلا تقهر وما سائلا فلا تنهر وما بنعمات ربك فحدث. And so in translation, it says, by the glorious morning light and the night when it is still, your guardian Lord has not forsaken you, nor is he displeased. And verily, the hereafter will be better for you than the present. And soon your guardian Lord will give you that wherewith you'll be well pleased. Did he not find you an orphan and give you guidance, give you shelter and care? And he found you wandering and he gave you guidance. And he found you in need and made you independent. Therefore, treat not the orphan with harshness or repulse the beggar unheard. But the bounty of your Lord rehearse and proclaim. Surely Allah speaks the truth. And so I want to relate that surah to the role of not just a military chaplain, but chaplains in general. To provide context in the military, we provide religious support across the board to soldiers that have a faith tradition, no beliefs, but not in the sense that we may provide Islamic references when we discuss things, unless it's asked for. We either perform that religious aspect or we provide it. So we might get them in touch with somebody who can assist them in a faith tradition that is more suitable for them. And so we come across all types of scenarios where it may be soldiers who are having suicidal ideations. It may be soldiers who have mental health crisis, maybe lost a family member, maybe they responded to a fatality where they came in contact with a gruesome death or the environment that they were in. And so it's not always going to be the religious presentation of our that's doing our job, but we are informed by our religious background or our religious sensibilities. And so as a chaplain, when I look at this Surah Duha, in thinking of how to aid or assist someone that is going through a crisis or having a rough time, And this surah, it starts off by saying, by the glorious morning light. And so here, this is Allah giving, making mention of his creation, and for the person who thinks a little deeper, we think on all the things that takes place, all the things that have to happen in order for there to be a glorious morning light. We know about the sun. We have to think about the rotation of the earth, the timing that it takes for that to happen, and in the midst of space, all these things that are in this one statement of by the glorious morning light. There's so much more that we have to be thankful for, or to be in awe of our Creator. And then he follows it with, and the night when it is still. So this, for the person that's in stress, it's letting them know, like, yes, at this moment when everything is illuminated and all these things are right in front of you and it seems stressful, and it's creating whatever anxiety you may be feeling, it's not going to last forever. This pain, this grief, this heartache is not going to last forever. And at some point you will be still. And so it's, how do we take those two concepts and ideas and best communicate for them that this is the case. And just as it may turn dark, and you may not see a path forward, you may not see a way out of the scenario that you're in. Again, we know with the alternation of the day and night, that here returns this glorious morning light. And so maybe I may still see the things that were a problem, or gave me anxiety, or gave me stress, but now I've had this time to be calm. I had time to reconcile or work through some of those issues, and now I can see things differently. And so as we try to communicate this idea of everything, time erodes all things, that as time progresses, you'll feel better. Possibly it may be some changes, you're going to be different, but the question comes up, well, why did this happen to me? Why did this happen to my loved one? Why did this happen to my family member? Everything always seems to happen to me. God hates me. Nothing ever goes right. I can never do anything right. But then Allah in the next verse says, your guardian Lord has not forsaken you, nor is he displeased. Meaning that this may not be your fault. This may not have anything to do with the actions you took or you didn't take. But this was something that was destined to happen. And as we think about that alternation of the ups and downs, the highs and lows, we then see where Allah says the hereafter shall be better than the present. And so sometimes it's the communication of that hereafter, for us Muslims, we draw that line, the hereafter being better than the present, as we live our life properly. We'll live our life in accordance with the will of Allah, and so we move on to paradise, and that's the hereafter. But that hereafter may be a day, it may be a month, it may be whatever that situation is, and so it's trying to help them see that there will be a change, that through time, through patience, through prayer, there will be an improvement in that condition. But even if in the immediate sense, there's still on that back end of where we think about this idea of patiently persevering, that you may not be the same for the rest of your life, but the hereafter should be better than the present. And maybe it's just having faith, and maybe it's at the completion of this worldly life, that you receive that improved condition. And so sometimes it's when we're having those religious conversations, that may be where it goes. But in the sense of people who may not have that particular perspective or understanding, it may be talking to them through the hereafter being the present, like after you get some help, after you be intentional with working through whatever that situation is. And it says, soon your guardian Lord will give you what you will please. And did he not find you an orphan and give you shelter and care? And so a lot of times when we're counseling, we ask people about their past experience, talk about a trauma timeline or a grief timeline. And then we ask, well, how did you get through that? How did you get through that thing? And bringing them back to that. And it's, we found you as an orphan, like but you were by yourself that last time you experienced something, or maybe it's their first time. And so we try and call on something where maybe they felt alone, but they had friends, they had family, they went to something different. And for us, sometimes it's thinking about friends that they made in the military, or associations or groups that they become a part of, that gave them shelter, that gave them a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging, a sense of meaning. One of the number one things that I find when talking with soldiers, talking with people, is when they express these suicidal ideations or thinking of harming themselves, the number one issue is that they don't have a purpose. They don't have this thing that they're living for. They don't have this something to attach to that's beyond them. And so helping them find that so they can see that for themselves, and discuss how it was that you improved your situation the last time. And so it says, we found you wandering and gave you guidance. And this goes to the same regards of maybe they were wandering. Maybe as a kid, I'm where I'm at now. I deal with a lot of basic trainee soldiers that are coming brand new to the Army. So this is their first time away from their family. This is the first time away from their support systems. And now they're in an environment that is very active, that has a lot of movement, a lot of the anxiety level of many here is very high because it's a new experience for them. And so it's helping them understand that before you were here, who were you? What was your situation? And you decided that you wanted to change your life or improve your condition. So you made a choice. And so now you have this idea, this sense of guidance. You have this sense of purpose of moving forward. And so then it goes on to talk about treat not the orphan with harshness or repulse the beggar. And so this is when, so there's a couple of things. There's critical incident stress debriefs, where there may be a group of people who all experience a traumatic situation. And so sometimes we have them get together and talk, and this is how they distill their situation or work through their problem. And so it's having that understanding of, you were in this same condition at some point. And so it's helping the next person out, and being understanding of them, being understanding of their perspective, so that you can help them not just use and this usually happens over time, but not to use your pain or tragedy as something to ostracize you or push people away, but to bring people in and help them. Maybe you're not successful, maybe they're not successful yet, but at least it brings somebody else in so they can work together and get through these things as a unit or as a team. But then again, it's like the bounty of your Lord, rehearse and proclaim. And it's after you realize, after you've played this entire scenario out, after this entire thing has taken place and you work through or got some sense of normalcy, now it's, I have to thank the one who made this possible. And it's not necessarily, thanking the counselor or the chaplain or whoever it is. It's thinking higher than that, if that person is religious. And so that's somewhat looking at it from the aspect of the person that needs to be counseled, of the person that you're talking to. But then, there's the big talk of self-care. There's the big talk of how do you not get burned out? How do you maintain? How do you able to stay effective? And so in the military, we don't only just provide religious support. We don't just give Jumas. We sit in command and staff meetings. We advise commanders on ethical decisions. We do a lot of counseling here at basic training. This unit that I'm at, I have they're called companies. So companies is about 200, anywhere between 170 and 240 people in a company. This is just the trainees, like the new soldiers coming in. And so any given day, any company can have 5 to 10 people that are experiencing some kind of emotional event, whether it's anxiety or whether it's because of something happened back home where they're from. And so they may need to talk. And so as you can imagine, this can take time, but also some of the stories that you hear can become taxing. When I was previously at my MP unit at Fort Cavazos, every time the MPs would respond to a fatality, I have to debrief them. So it may be 6 or 7 people talking through the same scene of someone who committed suicide, giving me every detail. Here, with possibly 50 to 60 people per week, some have had situations of loss of parents, right the few days before they were supposed to graduate and they were supposed to come see them. Some have lost family members. Some lost girlfriends or boyfriends to some very tragic situations. And as the chaplain, you have to provide that support. So it's thinking, how do I provide self-care for myself and make sure that I take time so that I can be as effective as I can? And so it's going back through that same surah, the acknowledgement of the Creator, of who is in control of things, who is the one who makes the morning light glorious, who is the one who can steal the night. And that idea
Let's turn it
that
off because I
sometimes
can't do both.
Oh, you put it on here.
that
Yeah,
idea that
it'll come here.
sometimes you deal with is, why am I here? Why did they send me to this location? And what did I do to be in this place, to have all these things happening around me? And it's that remembrance that your guardian Lord has not forsaken you, and nor is he displeased. So as a chaplain, like I tell people all the time, that I'm getting paid to do what I would be for free. I was going to be a Muslim anyway. And so they're paying me to do it. So if I'm living that way, then if my intent is to live in a way that's pleasing to my Creator, then I have to keep in my mind that he's not displeased with me. And so these things that are happening to me are not because of what I did. This is someone else's life. So sometimes we over empathize, sympathize, and we start taking on other people's concerns because we're intimately engaging with it, because we're talking to them and we're there with them and we're watching them cry and going through all these emotional things. But we have to set those boundaries for ourselves, that all I can do is make dua for you. I can't take this pain home with me because I have to maintain myself, and the repetition can become so great that it becomes emotionally draining for you. And so we think about, did he not find you an orphan and give you shelter and care? And so we think about who we were before we took on this profession, the scenarios or situations that we come from, the frame of reference that makes who we are, our identity, what makes that up. And we think about the times that we were trying to figure out our life, which direction we should go. And then we step back and realize that we are getting paid to do what we would have done for free. And for the Muslim, we say, we pray this Rabbana, this dua, oh our Lord, give us good in this life and good in the next. So here it is that you're getting paid or you're getting this compensation for doing something that is religiously in line, but at the same time, it's adding to your blessings because you're helping people. And so it found you in need and made you independent. And so this is where that rebuilding up of yourself, of the things that you needed. And so maybe what you needed was to go to school and get an education um, about your religion. Maybe it was to engage with Muslims or other people on a deeper level, so that you could improve yourself to tighten up how you in Army we call it tighten up your shot group, meaning like getting more on target, but tightening up your religious expression. And so we look at that when Allah found your need and they made you independent to where now you may be the leader in your community. Where before you were just one of the brothers or the sisters on the line, but now you may be leading your community, and maybe not necessarily always in the prayer sense, but in helping them, providing knowledge or assistance. And so it says, treat not the orphan with harshness or repulse the beggar. Now, this is when we talk about the self. This is when we talk about being kind to ourselves. So treat not the orphan with harshness. You are the orphan. You are the one who may have felt that you're all alone in whatever environment that you work in. Maybe you're the only Muslim there. I'm the only Muslim chaplain at every location I go to. So here, when I was at Cavazos, we had a large community. Here, it's very small. Juma went from 40 to 50 people at the other location, to where maybe sometimes we have to pray Dhuhr because we don't have enough people. So it's treat not the orphan with harshness. It's be kind to yourself. Understand that Allah is Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim, the most merciful. And that He is Ghaffar and Ghafoor, that He is the all forgiving, most forgiving. So we have to remember that this idea of this orphan is not always somebody externally. Sometimes it's us when we feel like we're all alone, and repulse not the beggar. And so that you go to Allah, you go to your Creator and ask Him to help you. You're the one that make dua. We're the ones who make duas to our Creator. So we don't want to be harsh to the beggar because we are the beggar. So as we look at these things in context of self-care, and lastly, it says, the bounty of your Lord, rehearse and proclaim. And that's when we've gone through all of our process and we've gone through all of our emotional fights and struggles. And we get back to this point that Allah has taken whatever our life has been, every situation, every scenario that we engaged in that may have been beneficial or not been beneficial. He's taken all of that and He decided that you were so important or so special that not only did He lead you to a path of religious understanding and worship, to give you an opportunity to achieve paradise, but He also put you in a situation where you may possibly, or be preparing to put you in a situation where you may possibly be able to take care of your family and give them things that they may not have otherwise had if you did not engage in religion. And so that's when it says, the bounty of your Lord, rehearse and proclaim, meaning constantly engage in it, constantly think on Allah. And just lastly, the verse that whenever we get into this idea of the woe is me, or somebody gets into the woe is me, and we think that we have to do it on our own, and we know what our religion says. Surah 13, no, not Surah, excuse me, verse 13 of Surah Noah. Noah tells his people, he lays through all these different things, but then his question is, what is the matter with you that you place not your hope for kindness and long suffering in Allah? And so that sometimes in that, when we're in that place, right around treat not the orphan with harshness or repulse the beggar, that's the thought that we're having. What is the matter with you that you place not your hope in long suffering in Allah? Knowing that Allah has the power, that God has the power to change and improve your condition. And so it causes us to turn back and to think on Him, and be able to have ourselves better prepared to go out and do the work that we have been blessed to do. That's all I have. I hope that kept somewhat on the theme. I've got probably another maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and I have to get back to this other training that I'm conducting in a different building across post. Salam.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much for sharing such an enriching reflection. Personally, my heart is very touched. I want to give everyone, I know it's 11:30, I want to give everyone the opportunity to log off if you need to leave, since our prayer time is from around 11 to 11:30. And then anyone who'd like to stay after to ask Chaplain Jamal Bey some questions, please do.
Thank you. Thank you, Chaplain.
Thank you, Chaplain.
Thank you, Chaplain. Thank you very much.